Hello and welcome to the Night Sky Reader. I'm here with a story to help you relax, meditate, or gently drift to sleep. Tonight, plotting a small asteroid across 3 quiet nights. Settle in, close your eyes if you'd like, and let's begin. A pencil, a red flashlight, and a clipboard wait on the patio chair before the sky is fully dark. The paper clipped to the board holds a simple hand-drawn star chart with mostly empty space in the middle, a few reference stars already penciled in from a printed finder sheet, and room for one small circle that does not mean much yet. Beside the chair, your backyard telescope stands with its tube tilted down, cooling slowly in the evening air. You are tracking an asteroid, which sounds larger than it looks. In the eyepiece, if all goes well, it will be only a faint point of light. Tonight it will sit in one place among the stars. Tomorrow it will be in almost the same place, only not quite. The yard is ordinary in the most restful way. Fence boards hold a little heat from the day. Grass near the tripod is still dry at the tips, though dew will gather later. Behind you, the house has settled into evening. A kitchen light glows through the window over the sink. Somewhere beyond the fence, a car passes on a neighborhood road, and then the sound thins out. Nothing in the sky announces itself. There is no dramatic stripe of stars, no meteor, no event, just a darkening blue, the first bright points appearing one by one, and the quiet fact that a small rock in the solar system is moving across a fixed-looking pattern you can learn to recognize. You carry everything out in stages because that is how these sessions begin. Tripod first, then telescope tube, then the small table with the flashlight, pencil, printed notes, and a folded page showing where the asteroid is expected to be. The page has numbers on it, of course, but tonight you use them only as far as they help you aim toward the right neighborhood of sky. Once you are there, the real work is visual and slow. You compare what you see to what is on paper. You notice spacing. You notice brightness. You make a mark by hand. Before you look at anything faint, you let the telescope adjust to the temperature outside. That is one of the small practical kindnesses of a calm session. Warm indoor air inside the tube can blur the view if you hurry. So you wait. You sit down. You put the clipboard across your knees. The red flashlight makes a small dim pool on the page, enough to read by without throwing your night vision away. The pencil already has a flattened side from earlier use. When you roll it under your thumb, the wood feels familiar. A work-tired part of your mind would like the evening to produce a result quickly. It would like the asteroid to glow a little brighter than expected, to present itself clearly, to save you from having to compare one faint point with 6 others. But this kind of night sky observation does not offer that convenience. It asks for setup first, then alignment, then a little patience while your eyes and attention catch up to the dark. When a bright star rises clear enough above the roofline, you use it to align the finder scope. You center the star in a low-power eyepiece, then adjust the small screws on the finder until the same star sits in the crosshairs. The metal is cool now under your fingertips. The motions are tiny. Turn a screw, look again, turn it back a touch. After a minute, the telescope and finder agree, and you can move forward. The asteroid is not near any famous showpiece. You are not visiting a bright nebula or a planet that can hold attention on its own strength. You are going to a modest patch of sky near a recognizable pattern of stars, then stepping carefully from that pattern toward a fainter field. With the low-power eyepiece in place, you move from a brighter anchor star to a smaller triangle nearby, then to a bent line of 3 dimmer stars that matches the printed finder chart. The star hop is quiet work. Nudge the mount, let the image settle. Compare the paper to the eyepiece. Turn the chart a little because the view is rotated. Nudge again. Soon the field begins to feel coherent. A brighter star off to one side, 2 dim stars closer together below it, another one a little farther out, making a shape that is not neat enough to remember by name, but is distinct once you have it in front of you. This is why a star chart matters. You do not need the sky to arrange itself into simple symbols. You only need to notice which points keep the same relation to one another, and which one by tomorrow will not. You spend a minute just looking. The first glance through an eyepiece often misses the faintest things because the eye is still adjusting, still trying too hard. So you breathe normally and let the field rest in front of you. If you look slightly to one side of the dimmest points, they become easier to hold. Nothing dramatic happens, they simply become more certain. There are several faint candidates where the asteroid is expected to be. That is normal. A small asteroid seen through a backyard telescope does not announce itself with shape or color. It looks exactly like what it is at this scale. A pinpoint. On a single night, you identify it by position alone. So you begin to build the field on paper. With the red flashlight cupped in your hand, you sketch 5 reference stars first, placing them by spacing rather than exact measurement. One bright point near the top left of the chart. A pair below and right. A dimmer one farther out, nearly in line. You are not drawing art. You are making a useful map. If one star seems a touch brighter than another, you show that with a slightly darker dot. If 2 are close together, you keep that closeness on the page. Your wrist rests on the board. The graphite leaves a soft shine on the paper. Then you return to the eyepiece and compare again. The likely asteroid sits a little off the line between 2 faint stars. Not centered, not exactly symmetrical. You check once more before you mark it. That restraint is part of the method. It is easy to circle the point you want and call the matter settled. It is better to look again, confirm the spacing, and let the chart earn its usefulness. When the position still matches, you make one small circle on the paper and write the time beside it. The first mark is modest. Circle no bigger than a lentil. A short note in the margin. Yet as soon as it exists, the whole session has shape. There is now a before and after. Before, there was a likely field. After, there is a record. The asteroid has not done anything except be where it is supposed to be. Still, the chart on your lap has changed from blank expectation to observed fact. You stay at the eyepiece a little longer, not because more data is needed, but because the field is beginning to feel friendly. The stars you drew on paper are now easier to pick out in the dark. The small motions of the mount feel smoother in your hand. Behind you, the house is quiet. Somewhere along the fence line, night insects begin their steady work. A little dampness gathers on the tripod legs. When you touch the metal, it is colder than it was half an hour ago. At last, you cap the eyepiece, switch off the red light, and let your vision rise from the chart to the whole yard again. The sky above the roofline looks unchanged. That is part of the comfort. You are not waiting for an event. You have made a careful note in a stable world. You carry the clipboard inside with the first small circle on it, and the kitchen light seems warmer than before because your eyes have adjusted so fully to the dark. In daylight the next morning, the chart looks even more modest on the kitchen table. Paper, pencil, a few dots. In full light, you can see the slight graphite smudge along the side of your hand from where it rested on the board. The time note is neatly legible. The little circle does not look like much on its own, but the point of the project is comparison, and comparison needs a starting place. You unfold the printed notes and check the expected shift for the second night. You do not need to dwell on the exact numbers. It is enough to know that against this particular star field, the asteroid should drift by a small but visible amount, not across the sky in a sweep, just enough that the circle you drew last night should not contain it tonight. The phone sits face down a little farther along the table. You could consult an app and see a polished map in seconds. There is nothing wrong with that. It is useful, often wonderfully useful. But for this exercise, you let the chart on the table remain the center of attention. The point is not to avoid modern help. The point is to let your own repeated observation carry the meaning. You sharpen the pencil. You flatten the paper with your palm. The whole task for tonight is already simple. By the second evening, the setup takes less thought. The tripod goes to nearly the same place without measuring. The chair stands at the same angle. The air is cooler tonight, clearer too, and the neighborhood quiets down earlier. One porch light farther down the block clicks off. The sky darkens with less of the day still clinging to it, and the telescope is ready sooner because the steps are familiar now. The same path through the sky. Anchor star, small triangle, bent line, faint field. What took patient searching last night now feels more like returning to a room you visited once and remember by the arrangement of chairs. At the eyepiece, the reference stars appear in their old places. That bright one to the side, the close pair, the dim outlier. Because you drew them by hand, they are yours in a practical way now.
Not owned exactly, but known.
You have already translated them once from light to graphite. Tonight, that earlier act of noticing pays you back. You bring the chart close, use the red flashlight for a moment, and then look again into the eyepiece. The circle from last night is not empty, because stars remain stars, but the point you marked as the asteroid is no longer the right candidate. Slightly offset from that place, by a small measured amount, there is another faint point that fits tonight's expected position better. You compare its distance from the same two reference stars. You compare again from a different pair. The difference is not dramatic. It is exactly the kind of difference you came for. The motion is only visible because everything around it holds still. If the change were large, it would be obvious and somehow less calming. The evidence assembles through context alone. One point among many. One change among many things that do not change at all. You stay with the field long enough for certainty to become gentle rather than strained. A second look, then a third. Each time, the same faint point resolves as the best fit. When you finally add the second small circle to the star chart, the page takes on a quiet authority it did not have before. 2 circles are enough to suggest a path. Another small ring, another time written neatly at the edge. But the difference between 1 point and 2 is larger than it sounds. 1 point can be an isolated sighting. 2 points create direction. They tell you that the first note was useful, that the second was found honestly, and that tomorrow's session already has a shape waiting for it. You lean back for a moment before capping the eyepiece. Your eyes have been narrowed in concentration, and now the whole yard returns to you. The grass has darkened with moisture. The air on your sleeves carries a little chill. A faint road sound comes and goes beyond the houses, softened by distance. The red flashlight leaves a dim after-image when you blink, no brighter than a memory. On the small table nearby, the pencil has picked up a bead of dampness where dew touched the painted wood. There is satisfaction here, but it is not the loud kind that asks to be announced. The chart on your lap shows change that can be seen with care. The night remains as plain and steady as before. You pack up in the same unhurried order. Cap, fold, lift, carry. Indoors, under warmer light, the second circle looks as calm as the first. You set the chart down and let it wait for morning. During the day before the final session, the paper lies flat on the table, and now the story of it is visible at a glance. The reference stars, 2 small circles, times written in pencil. Nothing about the page is impressive in the usual way. It is a modest record of modest work, which is exactly why it feels right to look at. You check the next predicted position and see that the third point should continue the same gentle drift. The path is nearly implied already. It would be easy enough to stop here and feel satisfied. 2 successful nights have already shown motion, but a third observation is what turns suggestion into pattern. It confirms without fanfare. It closes the loop. So you prepare the same tools once more. The pencil is sharpened again, the red flashlight is checked and set beside the chart. The clipboard clip is tightened with your thumb. Each small preparation carries a little comfort of its own now. Repetition has smoothed the edges of the task. What felt like an activity on the first night feels more like an evening place you know how to enter. By the time the third night settles in, the yard is familiar in a deeper way than simple habit. The tripod feet find their spots almost by memory. The grass is damp earlier tonight, and when you step through it, the cuffs of your pants pick up the coolness. There is a slight chill at your wrists, enough to notice and not enough to matter. You do not bring as much of the day with you. The finder alignment is quick, the star hop is quicker. Soon the eyepiece holds the now familiar pattern, and for a moment you simply enjoy recognizing it without effort. This final return is the gentlest of the 3. The work now is to look carefully one more time and trust what the comparison shows. You let your eyes settle. You keep the red flashlight off until you need it. The reference stars come forward first, then the dimmer points between them. The asteroid is there, farther along the expected line. Again, only a small shift. Again, enough. You check it the same way as before, not because you doubt the field, but because good habits have become their own kind of rest. Compare to the close pair. Compare to the brighter star. Look away, then back. The same point remains the right one. When you draw the third small circle on the chart, the page finally holds visible motion. You can leave the 3 marks separate, each a careful record of one night, or you can add the faintest pencil stroke between them, just enough to trace the direction your eye already sees. Either choice is honest. The chart is not claiming precision beyond what you observed. It is simply showing that over 3 quiet nights, one point did what it was expected to do, and you were there to notice. You sit with the clipboard on your knees for another minute before packing up. The air is cool enough now that the metal focuser chills your fingertips. Dew has gathered along the tripod legs and darkened the grass into a deeper green-black. The neighborhood is nearly still. Even the occasional passing car seems to move softly at this hour. The yard has not become exotic because you brought astronomy into it. It remains what it was, a patch of ground beside a house, made briefly into a place of patient seeing. The scale of the solar system remains immense. The scale of the work remains domestic. Both are true at once, without strain. At last you cap the telescope and fold the chair. The red flashlight goes dark in your pocket. The clipboard comes inside with you. In the kitchen light, the page looks softer and more complete. The graphite marks have a faint sheen where the pencil pressed harder. Through the window above the sink, the yard is mostly reflection now, dark beyond the glass. You set the chart on the table and rest your hand beside it. The side of your hand carries another small gray smudge. The pencil rolls a little, then stops against the clip. Nothing outside asks you to go back. Nothing remains unfinished. 3 neat circles marking the asteroid's drift across 3 quiet nights, like quiet footsteps, and then nothing more to say. Thank you for spending this time with the Night Sky Reader. May your night be peaceful. Until next time, rest well.